We've got Des, and he's accompanied by Des. Now, I'm confused. Which one's Des?
I'm Des Rowe, and that's Des Hopkins.
And thank you for your patience, and also thank you very much for coming along tonight. And I hope in my little prelude to what you'll be doing that I haven't said something that's out of context or wrong, because what you've brought up, or what I'm aware that you're going to bring up, I've never heard of, and I don't believe that I've never heard of it. So I'm going to hand over to you, but you had your hand up earlier. Was there something that you wanted to participate with what Carolyn was talking about?
No, just wanted to let you know that Des Hopkins was here with me.
Okay.
The stuff that we're going to speak about tonight is the work of the forensic work of David Walter. Des will explain who David is and give you a bit of a background. But a meeting a little while ago, we spoke about the petition of right, and the petition of right that people should be, everyone should be filling out the petition of writing and sending it off to the Queen and other institutions or other parts of government as well. But I'll hand you over to Des. And
okay, if I could just ask you quickly, you say petition of right, is that R-I-T-E or R-I-G-H-T?
R-I-G-H-T of 1867. I'm not sorry, 16.
So are you going to talk? Are you going to talk into the petition of right to explain to us what that is?
No, not really. Basically tonight, just to give you a background what's happened into Australia and whatever where we stand at the current moment.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll just give you the floor to speak, and then we'll say maybe after 20 minutes, if people have got questions, we can maybe open up to questions. But I'll just give you the floor. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, actually, what I'll start off tonight with the current topic at this hour, and that's in the United States at the moment. And if once you get your head around what it'll come relevant to what David Walter has done, and you'll get an understanding too, and you can get an understanding what Trump has done in the United States as well. Now, we don't know if we can only speculate because we haven't seen, we haven't really experienced it firsthand. So all this here is it's secondhand, so we can't say that it's true or not true, but it's food for thought. And what's Mrs.'s first name, buddy? Melania Trump. She tweeted out on the 4th of July last year, and she was happy to announce that she's going to an event where Donald signed the second Declaration of Independence for United States of America, and that was missed by everybody, really, basically. Now, 3 days ago, there I listened through and the reading out of the second Declaration of Independence for the United States of America, and it's very interesting. It's there. You can find it. It's out there. And now at the moment there, if you can better have a look at that, and I'll ask the buddy people out there at the moment, the Crown City of London, is it part of the United Kingdom?
Well, if I'd answer that question, then I'd say no.
It's a separate country.
Correct.
The Vatican.
Well, they make up, if you got Washington, the Vatican, and London make up the empire of the city.
Yeah, and then we'll get to Washington DC. Now, Trumpy's put a big wall up between Mexico and United States because it's two separate countries, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What did they put up around the White House, around Washington DC?
We'll go with wall.
A big wall, a fence, and razor wire. They put a wall around a different country. Did Trumpy leave that country?
Yes, he did.
Yes, it's a separate country. So what did Joe Biden take control of?
A small
foreign
parcel
country.
of land. Yeah.
But it was cancelled out, and it's a corporation that was bloody ceased trading back in June last year too, June, July last year as well. And a perfect example of that is Goldman Sachs. It ceased trading in 2008. Yeah, it went broke.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a precedent for that company to this day?
Well, I guess that there wasn't.
Now, if the Corporation of the United States has ceased trading since June, July last year, what did Biden take control of?
Well, a small corporation.
Nothing. It doesn't exist. It's not been
Deregistered.
Being deregistered.
Okay.
It's not functional anymore. Now, can you see why Trumpy left the White House there?
Well, because there was nothing to leave.
Well, no, he had to get out of that foreign country.
Yeah.
He left it. Now, I was listening to a very interesting article, and the woman there she kept on mentioning 2 White Houses, and it was lost on me. And anyway, I read out a different article. I read out an article that was sent to me this afternoon, and it made all the sense in the world. Trump hasn't gone anywhere, and it's not over. You just have to wait. But we'll lead into what we're talking about tonight, and all this work I'm working at is the work of David John Walter. He's a retired Commonwealth copper, or a federal Commonwealth copper. Well, he started in the job in Canberra, and then because the Northern Territory is a territory, they can only, and so is Canberra. So he went up there and he served up there till his retirement. Over the years there, he's been helping a lot of people out with their troubles with the courts and everything like that. And yeah, sorry, I've been distracted here at the moment. But anyway, this is giving you a background of David, and he's working the petition and writing, and some of the, and I've been in contact with David for quite a few years, and to the fact that I've actually sat through a couple of his court cases up in Cairns.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had all his information. I hope I can do it justice tonight, because he can rattle this off from the top of his head.
Yep.
We've been doing it for that long. But anyway, what we've got here is what we think of as a government is, get that word right out of your head. The word government, throw it away. It's a private business. It's a private business. But what I also have to say, I can talk about the Commonwealth government, and I can only explain about the Queensland government, the so-called government, because that's all you can do. And once you get the gist of the things, everybody in Australia there can only do their petition of right as per their state, whether it's Victoria, New South Wales, Tasmania, or Queensland.
So the petition of right, is that connected at all to the UK as far as the monarchy is concerned?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Once it goes through, and we'll get back to what you were saying about the difference between the 2 constitutions.
Yes.
The first constitution of 1900 is that come out of the parliaments of the United Kingdom, because that's where it had to come from.
Yes.
It had to come from there, and that, because that UK is in that, that's a big advantage for us, because the politicians, or so-called politicians here, or the parliaments here, cannot change that document.
Correct.
It's permanent.
They don't have any jurisdiction over it.
No jurisdiction. So it cannot be changed. It remains, and it remains to this day. And you've got to look at it from this of the seals. And it's the seal that's on the top of those government, on that documents. And that seal, the Australian governments cannot override it. They can't change it, can't override that seal, nothing.
So that seal, Des, that's the lion?
Yes, the lion and unicorn.
The unicorn, but it's also got a little lion on top?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The imperial crown.
Imperial crown.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting back to the 1901 Constitution, where the first 9 paragraphs of the preamble, that brings us the living people in equal footing with the Crown, in partnership. And it goes back to the Partnership Act of 1890.
Yes.
And I will I highlight that 1890, because what these politicians, and it's not just with the Australian, it's done worldwide. It's done worldwide, and the 1890 that puts us as equal footing with the Crown as partners in the company of the Commonwealth of Australia.
Okay. So that makes us like quasi-Crown.
Well, yeah, virtually,
okay.
yeah, because we're an equal footing.
Yep.
What she is actually holds the seals of that company. She's a holder of those seals.
Yep.
And everything we do, and we act, and they appoint under that those seals. That's where they appoint all your judges and everything like that.
Yes.
Now we'll jump forward a little bit now, and we'll we'll jump forward basically to the 17th of February 1966, and that, can anybody tell me or show me the results of about it? Because to change the Constitution, what do you require?
A referendum of the people.
Now, can anybody tell me what was the results of the referendum to change the currency of the realm?
I don't recall one.
Was no.
That's a big no, isn't it?
That's correct.
Righto. We'll bounce around a fair bit now. And that's in 1966 with the vote there. Now, we'll go back to 1867 to the Constitution of Queensland out of the United Kingdom. And out of the Orders of Council, in Orders of Council, it shows that the judges, the governor, and all things is that they are to be paid in the pound. I'll change my glasses and I'll get that. They are to be paid in the pound. And it's roughly about £2,000 for the judges, and even goes back right to the ministers of the church. They get paid, I roughly think about £700 a year.
Mm-hmm.
All in the pound, shilling, sterling, that is too.
Yes.
And that's from Orders and Council. And the Constitution of Queensland comes out of United Kingdom. And what did we just say a while ago about the UK? We can't change that voting constitution from here.
No, because it's an act of their part.
We can't change it.
Yeah.
Right. It's set in stone, and it's got the seal of the Crown of Queen Victoria. Right. And the Queen Victoria holds that crown, and it's all got to do with the seals and everything like that. And the seals under contract, and That's it. That can't be changed. But now we'll bump back to about 1966, and as we just seen that there's no referendum to change the coin of the realm. So once the judges, the politicians, the public servants get paid in the currency, I'll call it the digital currency, the Australian dollar, who do they serve?
Yeah, well, the dollar.
Well,
Whoever's
yeah.
producing that. They're not serving the realm any longer.
No. So now the Commonwealth of Australia and the states of Australia cease trading. They lay dormant. And from the 17th of February 1966, the Australian government, and this is alluding to what you're saying, but listen carefully, the Australian government kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And they elected their own public servants, and they paid them out of the revenues of the company, the Australian dollar.
If I may ask you a question in there,
Yeah.
Des, people might get a letter and they might get it from the Commonwealth of Australia or the Commonwealth government, and then they might get one from the Australian government.
Yeah,
Are they separate organisations, or is it one organisation just using different titles just to...
different titles, and it becomes under the seals. And then once you've got to realise what the seals are all about.
So it's not two different entities, it is one entity just using different labels.
Well, yeah. Well, you've got to put our Commonwealth, because our Commonwealth, and it goes back to the deeds of the company, which is the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Australia, UK. That's the deeds of the company.
Yeah.
And we were held back to the Partnership Act of 1890. These ones, I'll show you. It's the seal. That I'll show that. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's good.
Yeah.
Federal Court of Australia Amendment Act 1991,
Yeah.
number 181 of 1991.
Well, that seal is the seal of the political parties. That's it. They've been once you've realised what they've done, that's a seal of a private company.
Mm-hmm.
Being private individuals, being members of a registered political party. And that's the public seal of that private business.
Yep.
You got that? Right, we'll find.
Now, just in that area, Des, I've had conversations with people before where I've tried to explain to them that Commonwealth of Australia is a corporation, and they argue with me, and they say there's no evidence of that. Then I've got this, like you can't read it because it's all faded, but this was printed in 1964.
I'd go to the Corporate Bodies Act of 1963.
But just okay. Well, this was printed in 1964.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but under parliaments and elections, it just says qualifications for membership and for franchise Commonwealth Parliament. And I said to people, if it's not a corporation, how do you have a franchise?
Well, you go back to the Commonwealth, and the living men and women can only have a company.
Uh-huh.
So that's the Constitution, and it goes back to the Partnership Act. They tried to change it. You'll realise once you will get through to it, they tried to change it, and they brought in their own seals. They brought the Partnership Act in of 1891.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to circumnavigate, but they can't change anything.
Okay, so let me ask a real basic question. Are a company and a corporation the same thing, or are they different?
No, completely different. A company is of living men.
Okay, and a corporation is of corpses.
Yeah.
That's why it's a corporation.
Yeah, corporation. It's made up of individuals who run the company on the behalf of. See, but there's no shareholders in that corporation in Australia. That Australian government corporation, there's no shareholders in it because they go by statute neutral gender.
So could you repeat that? The statute neutral gender.
They go by statute neutral gender. Things.
Right.
An entity. And we're not entities. We're not things. We're living men and women. So we're in company. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
this
if I may, just for in that area with what you're talking, are you aware? Was there any change occurring in, say, Britain at that time that represents the same?
Yes,
sort of
in 1963, you will see in 1963 they changed the pound sterling and went to the new pound, and that's so they could enter into. That's so they could enter into to the EU.
Okay, so did they change, for example, how many pence were in a shilling and things like that?
It went to units of 10.
Units of 10, and whereas previously it was units of 12.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Steve, can I just share the screen, please?
Yep.
Sure. Hang on, I'll just make that. Well, I pressed the wrong button. There you go. Now, I'll just remind everybody that we're going to have a break soon so that people can ask questions about it. But really pay attention to what's being said. I'm trying to clear up some things for myself and for you as far as like the difference between a corporation and a company. And that might have never been a question in your head. You might have, well, for me, I'll say, I always thought that a company and a corporation, that was just a different expression of the same thing.
No, not the
So
same.
I've already learned that tonight, that it's okay to be in a company, but not in a corporation.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong with being in a corporation, but long as you buddy had the meetings of the minds and you buddy had full disclosure and you know where each and every one of the buddy, everybody stands.
Yeah, but we don't seem to get that, do we?
No, we're not in that. We haven't got that privilege.
Right.
But I'll go. I'm probably giving a bit of the secrets away tonight. But this here, that there, see, you can see that seal.
Well, we're sharing the screen with Skip at the moment.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Just tell me what page you're on, Des, and I'll go to it.
Page 40.
Thanks, Skip.
Yeah, we can get off that there so everybody can see this.
Yep. Everyone's looking at it now.
No, this is what I've got here.
Yeah, Skip's bringing it up right now.
Page 40.
Yep.
Well, see, pull up there for a sec. No, we don't have to go that far. Go down. See, now you see that seal there on top of Queensland, and there's given Australia. Queensland.
Can you zoom in on that, please, Skip?
Yep.
See that? That's the public seal of a private company being members of political parties, registered political parties. That's not our seal. Just scroll down a bit there, Skip, and you'll come across. No, sorry, yeah, the other way. Scroll up. Sorry, and you'll come to the other seals. The seal that we were coming to. No, wrong one. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, we know that's
that one. That one.
No, you'll see that one. The corporate bodies. Yeah, you go back. You see, that's most of the seals, even though that's an inverted crown. And see, that's where the corporate bodies, and that's where they'll bring you in under their corporation. But
okay, so that's one is devoid of the line on top.
Yeah, but that's a different seal. That's not the seal of it's a completely different seal to what the Queensland government uses.
Yeah.
So you start to get this. Well, you'll go to the Queensland Constitution, be in there somewhere. The Queensland Constitution Act. That's the corporate bodies.
Down the page, further down, I think, Des.
Yeah. But anyway, there's different seals, and
there's a licensing.
Yeah. Well, that's
the Anglican Church, but yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. That's another subject.
Here we go. A lot of seals in this document, guys, are under the United Nations. They're not just Australia.
Yeah, and
Yep.
see, you got it. Here we go. That's the seals we were thing, and that's the seal that the governor should be bloody under, right?
Yep.
And the governors should be the governor for the Commonwealth of Australia and the governor for Queensland parliaments. That they should be appointed by the Crown and hold the letters patent, and that comes out of the 1867 Queensland Constitution under that seal, and it can't be changed. And under those seals there, and it'll show there where all the judges and that have to be paid in the pound, and it cannot be changed. So now we've got to there. We'll see. Hang on. Yeah. Get rid of that.
What's that? That's up. Yeah, we're good.
Sorry, guys. I'll just
Yeah. There. Now I've got to get where I. Yeah, this is the petition of. Now just scroll back down again. There you see the part. Sorry, stop. See that there? You've gone too far. This is the Partnership Act. It's skipping everywhere at the moment.
Doesn't have much experience at steering.
You'll see the Partnership Act of 1890, and that's where we all sit under that act as equals, and we're the owners of that company. And that from there, we the people appoint. There we go. There's a Partnership of 1890, and that's the one we got to go in. And they brought their own in of 1891. It's got nothing to do with us. And we've got to stay on our toes.
Okay, Des, when you say they, who is or who are they?
Well, I take the Liberal Party mainly in Australia, because you go back into the Companies Act, and it's in there, David. If you've got to read this document very carefully, and under the Company Act, you've got 6 or 7 people can form the company. And in 1967, they brought in the decimal currency, or the Australian dollar, and a lot of people don't realise the Australian dollar was brought in as a currency or a token for public housing in New South Wales, and it was adopted by the 6 states. The money was adopted.
So as a token for housing.
For housing.
Can you expand on that a little?
Well, we had the Housing Commission here in Queensland, and the same in New South Wales. So there's people that bought their homes there under the Housing Commission. Of course, they rented for X amount of years. They bought their house for £20. And somebody's put up there, is what Dick Yardley is covered for? Yes, Dick Yardley has gained most of his information from David Walter's work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where he wrote, what was that book? It's about treason, was it Liars and all that? I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately, but it's someone we know promotes.
And that, where you are now, the Commonwealth of Australia Act of UK is held to the Memorandum of the Understanding for the Annotated Constitution of Australian Commonwealth in Quick and Garran. And that's the proper body. That's our proper body constitution. Now
What colour? Sorry.
Red.
The red, not the green slime as buddy as our mate in Western Australia goes. Now, it's buddy. I was trying to read, buddy.
Sorry, I'll drag that out of the way. Drag that over here. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Now we go back to where they changed the currency. Well, basically, you could say the Commonwealth of Australia has laid dormant since the 16th of February 1967. It hasn't been used, and the political parties, and mainly the Liberal Party, have created this new company, and it was formed by one Prime Minister of Australia and the six Liberal premiers at that stage of Australia, all except for Queensland. At the time, we had a Country Party premier, but he was an ex-serving military man, so he had his allegiance to the proper allegiance to the Crown. So he went on annual leave, and the Deputy Premier stood up and he signed on his behalf. So it was actually the six, and it's in the document here, 6 premiers and a Liberal Prime Minister who brought the Australian currency into fruition, and started paying all the public servants and all the governors and all the police and judges and everything, that all in the Australian dollars. So who are they now serving?
The UN.
The Liberal Party.
Oh,
But they've signed charters with. Now, Australia is noted for not honouring any UN agreements, and they reckon Australia is the worst place for it. They're very deceitful. Now, the best way to explain how the Commonwealth is at the moment, you take the old Parliament House, the old Parliament House in Canberra.
Yep.
That's our Parliament. What is it at the moment?
Is it a museum?
It's vacant. It's vacant. There's nobody in there. We haven't elected any representatives to represent us there, and the Queen, who is the CEO or the head of the company of the Commonwealth of Australia, is sitting in there waiting for instructions. There's nobody there to instruct her, is there? I'm not saying the Queen's innocent of all this. She may well have been very implicit in all this. Complicit. We don't know. But then you'll get the point. Because all these people are being paid in Australian dollars, they could no longer sit in that Parliament. So what did Robert Hawke did in 1988? He built a new Parliament House in Australian dollars.
Yeah.
It's a private business. It's got nothing to do with us. And have a look at the Parliament House, and have a look at the flagpole.
It doesn't touch the ground.
Doesn't, because they hold no lands. Because when they created the Commonwealth of Australia, there were 6 separate colonies come together as one. And when they did that, Queen Victoria knew there's deviant people out there. So that each and every state held the lands, but she holds the title, she holds the seals of those lands. Mm-hmm. And it's held in all the states, because the Commonwealth of Australia, they knew if they started mucking around, they would have started selling that lands off and sent it overseas to overseas owners, would they not?
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, they can't do it. They still can't do it. Everybody's saying they're selling all this land to foreign owners, but Who's there to? Who's got the authority to do that?
Well, if you can't sell, you can't sell stuff you don't own.
That's right.
You can fence it.
You can do it. Yeah.
Which they've done with the new one.
But see, they got a problem. Being also creating their own business. Where do they operate on? On the land of the Crown.
Yep. And
so there's certain acts they can't get around, and that's especially the Crimes Act.
Right.
1913. Yeah, the 1914 Crimes Act. They can't get around that. But this gets back to your common law problem. Is that the common law is the murder, cause an injury, stealing, and they're common law offences.
Yeah.
And so that's where the common law, and then that thing. The rest is contract.
Yeah.
Period.
So, and just interesting in that area, Des, when we talk about being quasi-crown, that's one of the things that I've discussed with somebody that you know as well. And we've talked about running our common law courts as a Crown Commission, where all the people that conduct that court sit as Crown. In equal right as Crown. And then there's no corporation over us. No,
but the fundamental problem is that how do you enforce it?
Well, that's where we got to have more people. But the point is, when we get more conversations and like, look at the information that we've got here now, and what you're putting up is documentation. Like people can come along and say, oh, that's all conspiracy theory. Well, they're just lazy intellectually because they're not going to read the documents, or it doesn't suit the agenda that they have. And this is the sort of thing that we've got to push further.
Yes.
And we've got to push it out in public.
Well, it's even going to say I've had people buddy tried to disqualify David Walter.
Yes.
And said, oh, he's lost his property. He's been to jail.
So what?
Well, you got to look at it. Now, it took me a little while to get it out of him, but he has now got first-hand knowledge of the fact. Would they buddy take your property off you? Well, he can go by first-hand knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they will.
Will they put you and hold you against your will? He now has first-hand knowledge. Yes, they will do it. And that's basically what he done. He got first-hand knowledge. He has sacrificed a lot to get this message to where it is today.
So do you mind if I ask how old he is?
He's 71, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's an old sergeant. And he talks like an old sergeant. And there's no 5-minute phone call with him.
Yeah, no, I understand that if he starts talking, that it might be an hour later or so before you get to.
Oh, yes, and it is. And look, I'm trying to put this in the easiest terms possible. So for anybody coming into a green, and it's hard to get your head around it.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I don't know it all.
But you're putting paperwork up.
Yes.
You're putting paperwork up that people can refer to. Now,
yes.
And so then what they've got to be able to do to go somewhere else is to disqualify this paperwork and prove that this is
wrong.
False. Yeah, prove it's false. Now, here it is. I'm not telling you of a concept or I heard something from somebody someday whose grandfather was on his deathbed and said something. It's nothing like that. This is pretty sort of significant evidence, and it could be traced through documents in the UK too, I'd suggest. Now, what we might do, Des, we'll give you a little break for just a second. Colette's got a question, and I'll just ask if anybody does have a question, if you can put your hand up, there you go. And we'll see what we can uncover with Colette's question. Go ahead, Colette.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I put it in the chat, and I think one of the Des has answered me. Have you looked at Stephen Spear's white papers too?
I
you hear
have I have followed a bit of Stephen Spears' work and everything like that.
Because he's saying more or less the same thing.
Yeah, but the
and he
biggest
talks-
problem, yeah, you'll come, but we're all partners in the Commonwealth through the Partnership Act of 1890, and that's what we think. And we elect judges and that for the administration of the law. The administration of the law. They're only administrators. So what does that mean? We've got to be judged by our own peers, because we're the owners of that company. We're partners. Can your employees take you to task?
No, that's why we go to court and be judged or stand in judgment by our peers.
Now, here's the thing. We'll go back, and this is you'll see in David's work there, and he's trying to get the Queen to stand in her proper role as the head of the Church of England, held to. She holds all the common law, and she's got to back it up. And we can only, as partners in that business, we can only be taken to task for murder, theft, and all those common law crimes. So what are all the acts they got there? What are they?
Well, the bylaws of a private
Fraudulent.
corporation.
No, they are rules for the government employees, the public and servants, not to harm the owners.
Yep.
And they've turned it around 180 degrees. And through that, now David will not be able to come into that fact of all uppercase names, all that, and admiralty law and everything like that. It's a case of standing. You've got to get your standing.
Standing, yeah, where you stand.
Yes, and he puts himself back as the partner in that corporation. And you'll have a look, is that how our agreement with the Crown is a contract under seal. And she holds the seal, and she's got to uphold and protect us on that as the CEO of the company. And she's not been doing a job, and you'll find out that what this petition of right is all about. But as the CEO of the company, and if she doesn't do her job, what has she basically done?
She's abandoned us.
She's abdicated her position. She's
And
abdicated.
didn't she announce that in 1953 or 52, 53, 54, one of them?
No, they all bounce around on that. She said the wrong oath, but she took.
No, not the oath. When she said, I cannot come to you on the battlefields, I cannot, but I send you my heart.
A coronation oath. No.
No.
You take it that she, as one of Queen Victoria's heirs and assigns, she takes all the roles on, even by parole.
Yeah, but there's a video that's going out where she made an announcement saying that she cannot lead us onto the battlefield.
She took all the roles on by parole, and they think she took on everything that Queen Victoria had done.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
She's trying to, but basically she's abdicated. Now, what does that mean? The Commonwealth of Australia has been abandoned. It has ceased trading in the 16th of February 1966. We are a lawless society. We have no one here. What David Walters has tried to do in his petition of right is for her to appoint the governors holding the letters patent and start to reinstate all the thing, but she refused to do that. So we have got a private company here being fellow partners of the Commonwealth who've joined a political party, a registered political party, and they started their own business for private gain. And now we'll get back to what, especially in Queensland, we can speak for Queensland. And when they attack you, and I'll bring that up, is that you'll have a look on this. See in here, it's got copyright to the state of Queensland, 2019. And that little other funny little symbol, that little in that square box,
Yep.
that's a watermark for the EU. And this work is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution of International License. If we got no contract under seal with these people, what's it got to do with us?
So what flag do you fly under?
Well, we get back to the 1953 Flags Act. Each and every, they can have their flag if they want to, and they got the 7-pointed star. That's the flag they operate.
So what
in.
happened to the what happened to the 6-pointed land star?
It probably stops. They ceased using it in the 16th of February 1966.
But it wasn't gazetted,
That's right.
so it's still current.
It's still current, laying dormant, ceased
And
to be
so
used.
that's the flag I fly, because it's a land flag. It's not a merchant sea
Yes.
flag.
Yes. And it's just, you've got to have a look at that. This also happened in Great Britain. The same thing is the same thing has happened in New Zealand. The same thing has happened into Canada, anywhere the Commonwealth countries. And don't forget, the United States was a Commonwealth. It was a colony of
Yeah.
and you'll get to know why President Trump signed that.
I've got a picture. I've got a picture from the peace treaty of Versailles where all the Commonwealth.
No, I can stop you there for a second. No,
Okay.
I'm going to stop you there.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Could you scroll down a bit again and see Elizabeth's?
It's only about the flags. I was just talking about
Yeah,
the flags.
no,
I've got a
I
picture.
just seen something about a flick up, and I want to bring
Oh,
that.
okay. Sure.
You're talking about where the signature was?
Yes. Yeah, pull up. Yeah, right. I'll just leave it there for the time being.
Yep.
We'll get to that. Yeah, now I'll get you to finish what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I've got a picture, an actual picture that shows all the different flags that were recognised at the International Peace Treaty
Yeah.
in Versailles in 1919. And New Zealand had a red flag, we had a red flag, Canada had a red,
Yes.
and I see all the flags there, and we definitely had the 6-pointed star. So that was recognised internationally,
Yes.
that flag.
But
So it
don't-
is still
don't forget-
current, and
yeah,
it's
still current.
internationally recognised under peace.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, see, now what they've done here for Australia, and see, now I'll get back to this. See that the Royal Styles and Act of 1973.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
they brought that in to bring in about the new Australia.
And all that sort of thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Unidroit Treaty
Yeah.
of
And
Rome.
under that,
Went under a
Gough
different
Whitlam
law.
asked her to think, and she said, take it to your people. She signed over and above that.
Yeah, it means nothing.
No, it does mean something.
Oh, does it?
She stands over that.
You mean as opposed to where we don't stand under, and we
Because
don't understand
now-
you, but we
no.
stand over?
She does not come under that Royal Styles. And then
Yep.
you'll go back to the Royal Styles Act
Stands
of
over it.
1853, and you'll find in there she signed under that.
Yep.
So this is where
Yes.
that's her contract under seal to us.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of papers where she's signed above. Yeah,
Yeah, that one there.
in Stephen's papers.
Yes,
yeah.
she's not coming under that seal. She's over and above that. But you can go to the 1953 one after her coronation. She signs under it. because she had to sign that to come to Australia as the new Queen.
Now, most of the people here would be familiar, but I'll just say it anyway to make sure. But you can only be accountable or take authority for anything that's before your signature, not anything that's after your signature.
Yeah.
And
And
that's the significance of, say, with Stephen Spear's documents, where he's got the signature above. There's no authorization.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because
She's not
her name could have been
Authorising it.
well, her name could have been on a blank piece of paper, and then everything could have been entered after it.
And they've just,
Yeah, well, you see there, it's got the
Yes.
Royal Styles Act of 1953. Well, you have the proper one under the proper seal. She signed underneath that, and she accepted to take up her role as the CEO of the company of the Commonwealth of
Yes.
Australia. That's her contract under seal.
Now, I'll just ask
Yeah.
a question in there, Des, if I may. Now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So, and I'd love you to correct me if I'm wrong. So we get back to the royal family and taking on the name Windsor, like from a castle, and that we talk about them being Saxe-Coburg-Goth, or however you want to pronounce it. So is Queen Elizabeth, is the family legitimate? Is it the crown that is the significant, or is it the family? Like, well, how's that go?
Oh, a lot of them.
Well, the whole lot of them. You can go back and go through the bloody lineages and everything like that, but it come under war and occupation, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, see, they take up the role.
the crowns did change from World War One to we've got the St Edward's crown now.
Yeah.
No imperial crown. Yeah.
But if you look at the family, like you had Battenberger became.
Yeah, they through World War One, they had to sound more English, so they dropped that family name to sound that more English because of the bloody and World War One, and World War Two. Look, I'd say my personal opinion. Yeah, she's bloody fully involved as much as she can bloody get her grubby hands on it.
Well, there's nobody else who's stepped up to fight for it.
No. But even with this, what David Walters has done, he's virtually, of course, she won't reply to it. She's abdicated.
Yep.
We have no contract under seal with these criminal cabal, or what they call politicians.
Yes.
See, now, when they're trying to take you, they're going to take you to court and everything like that. Because they are not paid in the pounds, and these so-called, and we'll go to, if you flip through there, it goes to, there's a judgment there, or not a judgment, but it's a case there between a Judge Henry. David took Anastasia Palaszczuk to court for compensation to all the bloody, I went up for that court case, and it was, presiding judge was Henry J. But he could not make a judgment on that because he didn't hold the seals of the court, because he's paid in Australian dollars.
Yeah.
Not in the pound. And you'll have a look in the documents, if you all got a copy of David's works there, you have a look, and at the end of it, you read the document and you think, oh shit, he's unloaded on David. But at the end of it, he signed it. Well, we don't know if he signed it. It's just got Justice Henry.
Well, there's no evidence of him signing it.
Well, he hasn't put the seal, he did not speak through the seal of that court because he didn't hold those seals, because they've ceased using them in 1966. But the only seal he can operate under is the private seal of the political parties, and that's this one.
Okay.
It's a private seal. Now, that private seal, and this is where this page will come in, and that private seal is held by Anastasia Palaszczuk, and she's held to the seals of the Queensland Australian Constitution Act of 1844. I'll run through something which,
Just before you go, we'll use that as a little segue, and we'll just leave. That's like the little cliffhanger we can come back on, because we've got a couple of questions here, and if we can clear those, and we'll try and deal with these relatively quickly in their own little box, if you like.
Yep.
But I don't want to stop you from saying anything you're saying. But if we deal with these questions, so Maureen, if you could go ahead, please, and thanks for that, Colette.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I actually, sorry, I see one comment there. Yeah,
So
about
now-
about golf, and but he's like,
John Kern.
yes, I by all things, yes, they were more than friends.
Yeah. So what we might try and do too is, because we get an undercurrent in the chat, and I try to get that up top if we can, or have people alert it. But we'll stick with the people who've got their hands up that are prepared to speak, because I'd actually like everybody at some point to speak, if they could. So go ahead, Maureen.
Okay. Thanks to Des for your information. It's very interesting. However, are we in a dangerous situation because we have a parliament that's able to be occupied, and a lot of information I guess, are we at risk to some degree?
Very much so,
Yeah.
because we're a very lawless society, and we're held under a foreign occupational force. The police. You asked the police for his
His oath?
warrant card.
A writ of commission.
His writ of commission, because he's got to get his authority to operate on the land from the governor and the appointed commissioner of police. He get his commission from the Crowns, and his pips must come from Queen Elizabeth. And I'll reiterate, you'll see a lot into David's documents. He refers to Queen Elizabeth #2. Because she realised what these people are up to, because she was under Queen Elizabeth I, the Roman numeral. But she changed that and made sure she had to distance herself from it. And so she went to Queen Elizabeth #2. Well, she's got to authorise those PIPs for those police commissioners. But there's none been given because there's none there. So, hang on.
Just reading this from Caroline here for a second. Just bear with us.
No, we're repping to join the. Yeah, that's right. Well, see, I go back to 1963, and prior to the same thing has done into United Kingdom, is that the parliaments, what you think is government over there, are private companies, a private thing, and Buckingham Palace is paid out the proceeds of that business, and that's why Elizabeth is not there, because she had to go back to her home in Windsor Castle, because she only flies there when open her parliament. And you realise that, buddy, in the last few years, and it's to the colour of the dress she wears and what she does. And she doesn't go in to open the parliaments at the beginning of the year with her crown on.
Yeah.
And take very careful note of what colour dress she wears. It's not her parliament.
Yep.
She's only there as an honorary person. And it shows up in our monetary system, because the old English pound and the Australian pound, or the pound sterling, is backed by silver and gold. And when that was on, she wore her crown, because she guarantees that. And that's property. It's property, because it can be exchanged. The pound note used to be able to change for gold, solid gold, property.
Yep.
Now, you have a look at the Australian $5 note, you'll see and it's like wording, and people just look at the picture, but they don't look at the picture. And even with the coins, she only wears a tiara, not the crown, and on the $5 note, she's only there as a private individual. It's just a portrait of a private. She doesn't wear the crown because she's not backing the Australian dollar.
Okay.
And it's a digital currency made up of nothing.
Yep.
Can you steal? Nothing.
Well, they're actually doing a pretty good job of that, and it does still hurt. It does still hurt.
Yeah.
Now I just said, did Des deal with what you were looking for there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just wondering, are you familiar with what David Wynne Miller's done or said to have done?
Yeah, I am familiar with what he's done.
Is that going to be of any help to this situation?
Look, it's very confusing at the moment. We're all in the dark as much as anyone because we're fondling around in the darkness, but looking for answers at the moment. And our best answer at the moment is Donald J. And I have not don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet.
Okay, now I'm actually probably the most qualified person in Australia to answer the question regarding David Wynne Miller.
Yep.
So I'm the only person in Australia that was appointed as a judge by David Wynne Miller, and I've got the paperwork. So it's real simple. No.
Right.
Okay, don't worry about it. Using it as a learning tool. There's stuff to be learnt from it, and there's documents to come from it. But it's not within this jurisdiction. We've got to deal with what we've got, and then if we want to bring in something over the top of it so we get away from legalese and all that sort of stuff, we can look at incorporating whatever we want, and that'll be up to the people, not up to one person.
Yep.
But David Wynne Miller's technology, the people who are participating with that in general don't even understand what they're participating with.
Yep.
Well, they don't comprehend it, we'll put it that way.
Okay.
Now, we've got Shane and Kerry, or Shane's got a question. Can we move along there, Maureen? Is that okay?
Please, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Shane?
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Des.
Yep. How you going?
You're going.
You old rascal.
Just finished a couple of days ago. And thank you all for coming here very much. This is really good to see you both on here and letting all the information you have about David Walter, and it's very, very good. I have read this information. I have the information, but I'm not like Des putting it out to everybody. So I'm thanking Des for everybody for coming here. Plus, I have something else about the Australian Liberal Party, and you got the ALP. Well, ALP, everybody thinks it stands for the Australian Labor Party. It doesn't. It stands for the Alternative Liberal Party.
Well, I'll further that. When I was talking about the Liberal Party brought that currency in.
Yeah.
Who pays them?
Yeah, well, they do themselves, I would think.
The Liberal Party pays the ALP.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. It's all in their own little group.
Is that why they're both registered by Peckham Maru Proprietary Limited?
Yeah, that's right.
It's the left and right wing of the same bird, isn't it?
Yeah, same mongrel bird. Yeah.
That's right.
See,
And just while we're there, from what we can find out, and I'm 95, 99% sure, Common Law Court UK and International are also registered by Peckham Maru Proprietary Limited.
Yeah, and where you registered, what do you surrender to?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You surrender to them. You're under the. Now we as much as you don't like it, buddy thing, but see, we come under the buddy. We should be coming under the Nationality and Citizenship Act. Basically, we are British subjects.
Yes.
We're not under the Australian citizen. We never want to be an Australian citizen at all, because that brings you under the corporation. Under the nationality, and it's proven in Sue versus Hill, when Heather Hill was sitting in there as a senator, and the High Court of Australia gave it away because she's foreign to this government. So what makes us as buddy? We're the same nationality as Heather Hill. So what are we to this government?
Foreign.
We're all foreign. We got no contract with them. We got no contract under seal. And this is where we've got a buddy. This is where David will not really come into this uppercase name and everything like that. You've got to get your buddy jurisdiction right. And but when you go to their courts, and he learnt with buddy Justice Henry, he don't paint him in a corner where he can't escape, because then he's going to lash out. In that court case he had up there with Justice Henry.
We are called Corporation Sole. Queen is Corporation Sole. But
Yep.
all the others are Corporation Aggregate. So there can be no joinder between Corporation Sole and Corporation Aggregate.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
That's when we go into those places where they stand, that we have to stand up for ourselves.
Well, basically, you got about it. It's the magistrate or judge is not. He's not the one bringing the bloody complaint forward. You've got to attack. You've got to attack your bloody opponent, and so under the well, especially in Queensland, they use the seals that they got in Queensland, and you'll see in David's work there, he's proven there that it's copyright. It's copyrighted, and that when Peter Beattie created Queensland, the smart state, and he wasn't lying to you. He said, "My government," and he's a lawyer, and for once he was telling you the truth. And he said, "Queensland, the smart state, my government." Who opened the Commonwealth Games there a few years back?
The owner of your land.
No, he doesn't own the land. He's the CEO of that bloody business, Peter Beattie.
Peter Beattie, yeah. Subject to it.
He opened it because the Queen couldn't come here, because there's no one here to.
So is that part of where we've recited?
Yeah. Well, really, we'll get back to what Trump's doing. If he's doing what they say they're doing, and if it's still yet to play out, when he's handing back our sovereignty, our government back to us, we've got to be on our toes. We've got to be right on our toes. And even with David Walters, hey?
No, you're standing. Know where you stand.
Well, we've got to take control of our business, and we've got to throw all the. What's he doing? He's cleaning the swamp out. And do you want any of these people that were in there back in there?
No.
Any of those judges?
No.
And any of those people?
Well, it might be a good place to plant them.
Yeah. Well,
Something.
see,
Isn't it true we've been under military occupation since 1910?
we've been in occupation of a foreign company or
Yes.
foreign business, and
Yes.
they work in the colour of law.
Law.
And they're trying to better get
And
you.
now under the Unidroit Treaty, under
It's got nothing to do with us. It's got nothing to do with us, because we've got to stay out of their business. Now, we'll get back to Peter Beattie. He created my government, and in that seal, that public seal of what that, and the current holder of that seal is Anastasia Palaszczuk. And that seal is held back to Queensland Australian Constitution Act of 1844. Now, Queensland was erected out of the colony of New South Wales. Prior to 1900, there was only colonies here, all separate little entities doing business amongst themselves and overseas.
So
But then
it was mentioned before about wasteland.
yeah, we'll get to that. We'll
Okay.
get to that. Well, it's a long beaten trail.
Yeah, it's all good.
These 6 colonies come together and they form one federation to do commerce overseas, as we're all partners in that company under the Partnership Act of 1890. That saves any little, each state's competing against each other in trade. So out of the 6 colonies, they made up this one company, the Commonwealth of Australia. And that, but we'll come to Queensland. It come out of New South Wales, and the letters patent was issued by Queen Victoria in 1864, 65. I'm going off my head here. And then it erected the Queensland, the state Queensland in 1867, and was proclaimed by the governor in 1869. I think it all come through. So we'll get back to that. Queensland came out of New South Wales in 1867 as the Queensland Constitution, which is the Queensland Constitution of UK. Can it be changed? No, because it comes out of the United Kingdom. Right. Anastella Palaszczuk, as the CEO of the Queensland Treasury Corp, is held to the Queensland Australian Constitution Act of 1844, which comes out of the Wastelands Act, the Queensland Wastelands Act of 1855. You see the problem?
They're just separate.
Well, how could it be?
Well,
Queensland was formed out of the colony of New South Wales. There's 6 colonies. So I just said 6 colonies formed the Federation of the Commonwealth of Australia in 1900.
Yep.
Get that right in your head.
That's
The
right.
6 colonies formed the Federation of 1900. Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk holds the seal of the Queensland Australian Constitution Act of 1844.
Nothing.
You getting it?
Not 1901.
But it comes out of the Australian Wastelands Act of 1855.
How can
Wasn't Queensland formed out of the New South Wales Wastelands Act in 1867?
Before it.
so we seem to have some dates around the wrong way.
No, we haven't. We haven't, because it's got nothing to do with us. But who's trying to bloody follow Swifty?
Well, I'm saying, those dates, because you're saying that something was formed
So-
out of something after.
So Anastella Palaszczuk, what's she got to do with us? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Who pays the judges out of the revenue of that business? Anastella Palaszczuk.
Just say Palaszczuk.
Yeah, or Palaszczuk.
Don't worry about Anastasia, just say Palaszczuk.
Yeah, Palaszczuk.
And,
Are you starting to get in the picture? This is why David does not.
So what
go
about the
on-
Brigalow,
Don't worry about
Brigalow
it.
Corporation?
This explains it. Have you got a contract under seal with them? A signed contract where the meetings of minds? No. No. And see, that contract is your maritime law and things like that. You've got nothing to do with it. We are partners of the Commonwealth of Australia. We pay our representatives out of the consolidated revenue of that company in the pounds, shillings and pence. Is it sinking in?
Yeah, but what's your answer to? I mean, I understand what you're saying and knowing your standing, but where does that get us?
Well, the only way they drag you into court and you're going about your peaceful business on the land. Well, see, now we'll go back to that Royal Styles Act where Elizabeth R signed over and above it, because this is where they tried to bring their own crown in. the Queen of Australia. Well, she didn't allow it. It didn't happen.
So
Who hold?
so if we stand with the Queen Elizabeth, we stand over that.
We stand with her under the Partnership Act.
Yeah, but we stand with her over that Royal Styles and Titles Act.
Yes, because it's got nothing to do with us. That's a
And
Royal
anybody
Style.
but anybody who identifies with it is beneath us.
Yes. See, the parliamentary or the so-called politicians, they have a partnership agreement, and they pay their own public servants, or whatever you want to call them, their own police, their own doctors, their own everything. That's got nothing to do with us.
Hmm.
But what they have done is now we'll get back to the thing, what they have done through the birth certificate, because they hold no lands, because Queen Victoria, as I said before, she was smart enough to hold the lands back into each state under her seals. All right? And so, and also the Crown holds the gold, the silver, the oil, and helium of the land.
So Crown Land and Minerals.
Yes. Now, this fictional company that they think, where do they get the oil to make the plastic dollars from? Because remember, they don't hold any lands. They don't own any lands. They don't have any lands. They got nothing.
So they get it from beneath the land.
Yeah,
No,
but
no,
they
no,
have. I mean,
no. Think about it.
but they're using it.
They're stealing it.
Oh yeah, they're stealing it. They're stealing it.
Oh, we know they're stealing it. Yeah, we know they're crooks.
They're stealing our. That's the property of the Crown.
I mean, when your Anzac memorials should stand on
Yeah.
Crown land, and they're standing on council land, you know they've stolen.
No,
But my
wrong,
thing is,
wrong. Council land, no. Council's only representative. They are only administrators. Who owns the land?
We do.
We do.
Yes. Don't become their
yes,
servant.
that's right, we do. But you try telling the thieves. Try telling them.
We're doing it the wrong
We've
way.
tried.
And that's what David Beatty Walters is very saying, and it's starting to unravel for him if you use it right.
Well, we're trying to get a red flag on our Anzac memorial statues, but you think we can get they've got their government flags all over them, representing our Gallipoli statues and everything, and they're just not budging, yeah?
Well, they're using the old adage, force makes right.
Well, they've got the power. If
Well,
there's, you
there's
know,
No. They have not got power unless you give it to them.
Correct. And there's something when we mentioned David Wynne-Miller before, and as David always said, you can only have what you can hold.
Yep. And see, even to the coin of the Australian coins.
so Brigalow takes the land then.
No, really, who takes the land? Or do we give it to them? I think we give it to them.
Well, I didn't give them nothing because I don't own anything on my land. I own it all. I've paid for it, everything. But do I own it? According to them, no.
No, because of course, the Crown hasn't appointed any governors, and on her behalf, he hasn't appointed any commissioners. So since 1966, you think they've appointed any lands commissioners? They're the only ones who can basically swap your land around by ecclesiastical.
I've got the original title. I asked my lawyer to get the original title, and they didn't want to.
I'll bet you're about £4 in gold you haven't.
It's not a printout. It's an actual big piece of paper that folds out with Crown land.
I'll bet you £4 in gold you haven't.
Probably it isn't, but I'm saying I asked for it, and that's what I got, a big document thing.
Yeah, no, you asked for it. They handed you something that looked similar to it, but you accepted it. Now,
they didn't want to give it me. They didn't want to give it me. They said you don't want this because if you have this and something happens, you lose it. We've got nothing here. They wouldn't give it to
No,
me.
it should be. Is it on parchment?
It's on a big piece of paper that folds up,
I
and
didn't
it's
ask.
got
I
written
didn't ask you that
Crown
question.
on there, and
I
it's
didn't
got
ask you that question.
Be Simple.
I
Oh.
didn't ask you that question.
I don't know
Is
what
it-
parchment is.
It's pigskin.
Well, I don't know what parchment is.
It's pigskin.
Thick skin.
Mm,
Oh
yeah.
no, I wouldn't have that. I'm vegan.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's all your old deeds. All your old deeds
sorry.
were done on pigskin.
Sorry, I
And
just had that to put that in.
and what unit of measurement is it?
All right, no,
described?
well, I wouldn't have accepted that anyway.
But what unit of measurement is it, Buddy? Written in?
Chains, links, I think.
Oh, I hope it's in acres and Buddy. A thing,
It's
but
got-
if it's in hectares and meters, you haven't got nothing. All you got to do is a piece of
No,
paper.
no, it's in.
If
They've
it's got
drawn on it over the top of it on my printout, it in meters, but in the other,
sorry.
it's in.
if it's a printout,
Links,
you haven't got any.
links.
You haven't got anything.
No, I've got two. I've got a big one and I've got a little printout.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
if,
they said
if
they
it's
had to
not
give me
on
this
parchment,
one and they
it's
give me
not-
the other one.
and,
So I've got
and
a
it
big
hasn't
one.
got and if it hasn't got the raised seal of the crown, you got
No,
nothing.
I wouldn't have that.
You just got a piece of paper, and especially off a lawyer. And
No, it's got the old crown on it.
yeah, maybe, but if it's got any
No.
reference to acres or anything like that, you got nothing. If it's not on parchment, you virtually. So they had a big effort there years ago to get all the bloody big partial companies and all those old title deeds, because they gobbled them up, and they even got to the Law Society, said, "Yeah, send them into us for safekeeping." Yeah, go back a couple of
Yeah.
years. Oh, I want to get them out. Oh
No.
shit, we've lost them.
Yeah.
Well, we can't
Yeah,
find them.
has it got the
See,
imperial crown
we've
on
got
it?
a little. I think it has. Yeah, I haven't got it with me at the moment, but I think it has. But we've got the there's a little easement that runs through our block, and they call that Crown Land. This is Crown Land. So
Yeah, well, there's several
Yeah.
crowns. You've got Crown City of London and everything
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah, there's a
but-
couple of crowns. Yeah, I'll
but-
have to take another look at that.
Yeah, if it's just on ordinary piece of paper or anything like that, you got a digital readout. You got nothing. And
Okay.
what currency did you pay for it in?
Oh yeah, I know that. We pay for it in sweat equity.
No. What currency did you pay it in?
You would have paid for it
In the
fiat.
dollar. I know.
You haven't got it. You haven't got that.
No.
You haven't got that title deed.
No.
You've got to pay it in
No.
pounds, shillings, and pence.
You can get a lodial title, can't you?
Yeah.
No,
You can't get it
no,
anymore.
you can't get the
In
load of
fee
title.
simple? No.
No, this is.
It
this
is in
what-
fee simple.
No,
No.
because and that's the trouble Wayne Glue's having over there, and
Yeah, that's right.
we've got the biggest bunch of crooks you can they put breath into, and they're doing it by force. They'll drag you in front of one of their own buddy, I think, and this is where Davis is starting to teach us to buddy when we go to courts, is that when you read his documents and get your head around it, and even there up on the screen there, you say the Australian government is a privately operated Australian business only, which is in fact commencing trading in Australian decimal currency to make profit for the political parties and the firm, not the company, the firm, commencing trading on the 14th of February 1966. Privately elected members of political parties elected to the Australian government for administration of private Australian business, a private business, a corporation where not to permit it or sell or trade in the real or personal property of the money of the shareholders, or to be used or sold to make a profit of the firm, being a private Australian business.
Can I just mention something there? When you're referring to the firm,
Yeah, that's a corporation.
yeah, but the firm is also slang for gangland groups.
Yeah, you got it.
That's
Yes,
it. You got
yes, it is. The mafia, the
Correct.
mafioso.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what we're dealing with. And
Also, there's something else. Queensland does not have an upper house anymore since
Not,
Yeah.
not
No.
since
Since 1932.
1922. 22.
now, Well, see, even to what Peter Beattie, when he created My Government, and it's in there, he created the Queensland Constitution of 2002.
Yeah, but there can't be a Queensland constitution because Queensland hasn't got an upper house, so there's no such thing as a Queensland state.
But, oh, sorry. There was a word missing out of that.
Yeah.
Queensland Constitution of 2002.
Well, no such thing. There's no such thing as a constitution. They didn't ask us.
It's missing the word act.
Act, yes. Yes.
It's not even an act. And it had a commencement date of, I think, Queensland Week of April, May.
2002.
Yeah.
Right.
But what was
Well, you could see that with Anna Bligh when she amalgamated all the councils, and we did a referendum on that, and we said no, and it came back no. She said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So you could clearly see that.
what
she had
they
no-
done there is that they recalibrated and rewritten the charter for each of those new companies, or new businesses they set up. Because they call them regional councils. We had Rockhampton City Council, we got Rockhampton Regional Council, we had Fitzroy Shire Council. Well, it's part of the Rockhampton Regional Council and things like that. And
Yeah.
it was to change the whole structure of the business
Yeah.
because it's privately owned.
They're called divisions, right? So
Yeah.
Okay, now we're getting on a bit later in the evening, and I've left this part to the end because after going through all that and all that discovery, now Des and Des are going to tell us exactly what we do to fix it. And it's going to wrap it up in about 5 minutes, and there'll be one little piece of paper we use, and game over. You've done that, haven't you, Des?
Well, we're kind of sort of, as much as we're doing our best to bloody sort it out. And David, well, he's not allowed to enter any court because he's got he turns up there, they throw him in the way, but he's not there.
Trust me, Crown Stephen, this is a very short conversation. When you're having a conversation with David, it can last 5 and 6 hours.
No, that's all right.
Now,
do you think that he would be prepared to come along and do a Zoom meeting?
Oh, look, David's not big on technology. He doesn't have speakers or anything at all. He hasn't got any of that sort of stuff. I've been asking Des about this to try and get him hooked up so we can, or get him to go somewhere where we can have a Zoom meeting with him. But you want to make sure you've got a packed lunch because it'll be a big day.
Yeah, no, right. Where's he, in Queensland?
Atherton
Tablelands, yeah.
So,
we'll have a talk to him.
Geography's not a strong point. Where's that?
Sorry?
Far north Queensland, up
near Cairns.
Up near Cairns, right way up top.
Yeah.
Here's up my way.
Yeah. Yes, we're forging away with the thing because all these seals, because once again we lead off all our stuff with we've got to establish our jurisdiction under the bloody Commonwealth. We do all that, but once again we get back to when they force you into their courts, you've got to leave the door ajar for that bloody magistrate to get out. You don't want to corner him because he'll come out after you. You want to go after your opponent, and you go under, ask them what seals are they working under, and that. Then we just explained to you, Anastasia's Palachuk.
Yeah.
She holds the seal of the bloody Queensland Treasury, who pays their wages, and she's held to the bloody Wastelands Act of 1844 and held to the Queensland Australian Constitution of 55. And you ask them, now, how do you get me here today? What is it? The public seal of that private company being members of political parties, how are they getting you into there? And really, if you want to put a curly one, you can just ask the magistrate, oh, by the way, what currency you paid in?
Okay, so when we're in that area, there's a lot of things we're talking about are like, they would be like sort of civil matters. So,
all matters, the whole lot.
No. So when you get into a situation where somebody's identified certain, well, let's just put it straight up there, when they've identified pedophilia, child trafficking, and
yeah.
that sort of thing, and what they're doing is they're coming out after the person, so the person's on the run, but you
Yeah.
end up in
Well,
court.
Basically, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of what we're just seeing here today, they can't do that.
Yeah, I get that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but they do. But they do.
But see, that's what worries David when all this data comes out, and then even the transition period now, like we've starting to get an understanding of what's going on. And we'll get back to Dean Clifford.
Well, can I just take you back to that where I asked you first, if I may?
Yeah.
And I know it's awkward, and I'm not expecting you to necessarily have the answer, but I might be in a situation where I've got to go into that circumstance, right? And I need to have my standing, and I stand as Crown.
Yeah.
That's not a problem, but I need some tools and some weapons that I need, and I need to be able to be belligerent.
Well,
belligerent
see,
with it.
we can speak for lines of Queensland because we don't know we don't know what they've done for New South Wales or Victoria. But
well, wouldn't it matter that it's not valid anyway, so it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think with when you go into your higher courts and everything like that, they don't hold any seals of the Crown.
Yeah.
So basically, they can't administer the laws of the land.
See, the problem that we've got when we go in there, it's some of their own have been identified as perpetrators.
Yes.
And so what they've done is flipped the table and now looking to imprison somebody for 24 years that actually reported child trafficking. And
well, you've virtually got to get back to your standing there and say, well, who are you to bring me here?
Yeah.
And that, well, it go back, but once again, see, the Australian dollar can only be issued from the Commonwealth. The states cannot issue their own currency. So they see, and then that where you'll start asking the magistrate or the bloody judges, what currency you paid in? Who do you represent? Where you start asking for their bloody their commissions and everything like that.
Yeah, and then you've got to be, I would suggest, and I'm not an expert at being in court. I've been in there enough times. But I just use logic, and I try to hide the fact that I'm really pissed off. So you're basically saying, like, who are you? Who are you paid by? You've got no authority over us. And then
No, and then that's what David is always really instilled into me. You've got to get them to answer that question. Not you don't answer that. You don't say you got no authority over me. You tell them, you show me where you got authority over me.
Yeah. You show me your authority that isn't at the point of a gun.
That's right. And under belligerent behaviour and and threats and coercion. Yeah. But yeah, the best start is what currency you're paid in, because if it's paid in Australian dollars, well, because as partners of in the Commonwealth, we elect our judges for the administration of the laws, and that meant the administration of the laws. That means you go under your peers can only judge you. He can only sit there and make sure everything's done properly.
So when you've got the Crown prosecutor there, that's just an interesting title. It's got no bearing on who he's working for.
That's right. His contract is with the private political party, private political parties, and you've got to ask him what currency he's paid in. But once you've established, you establish a, you can go into documenting democracy, and you look up and you see the orders and councils and everything like that. At each state, there are what they got to be paid in, and they can't change that. That comes out of the United Kingdom. And once again, we get back to the Australian dollar. When was the referendum held to change it? And in Queensland, they went to the Legislative Assembly twice to ask to change to the currency, and they said no, because they had to trade in the pound.
Yeah.
So where all the other states after 1960, they adopted the Australian currency and started paying their own private people.
So the courts are, in a way, are paid by our peers, and one of those peers is the Queen, because we sit as quasi-crown.
Well, no, you get back to what the thing, they've created their Queen of Australia, and that goes back to that.
But that's a fraud.
Yeah,
If
well, the whole lot's a fraud.
Yeah, I understand that. So what I'm saying is that guy sitting up the front that says he's a judge,
yeah,
he's not paid by one of my peers and I'm crown.
Yeah, that's
he's
right.
not my judge.
Well, that gets back into as shareholders, we appoint those judges for the administration. Well, we're not paying him as partners
And
of
you're
the Commonwealth.
sitting in different jurisdictions.
He's sitting in. He's got commercial arrangements with his employer.
Yeah.
And that's the political parties.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is, like, when we're talking about this, it's about getting it right in your head what the relationship between the people are and putting it in a real colloquial sort of way, real basic. And then you use your paperwork and all that sort of thing, but you just really got to say, mate, you're employed by some company and you're pretending to be something.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
You're
see,
just pretending.
prior to David sending off his petition of right, so he had to exhaust everything there. He sent his thing to Susan Keifel, but the registrar wouldn't accept it because they knew. Because in that, David asked for the Queen to appoint the governors holding the letters patent. Well, Susan Keifel only holds the seals of a private company. She couldn't go over there and instruct the Queen to do it. Couldn't be done. So that's why it's a waste of time to do this internally.
Okay. So when you come back, you'll need to say all that again because we lost it all. There's no point in her going over
It's
there.
unstable. We're good now. Sorry.
Sorry, I've got to go. Now I've got to rethink what I just said.
So you said that she can't go over there and tell them what to do.
Susan Keifel.
Yeah, Susan Keifel. Yeah, she couldn't do. She's under a personal financial arrangement with her employers, which been the political parties.
Yeah.
And she only holds the seals of those political parties. She doesn't hold the seals of the Crown, and she can't speak through those seals. She's got to speak through those seals, and she hasn't got them. She hasn't got those seals to speak to Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
So, in other words, they stopped David right at the front door because they knew they couldn't deal with it, especially where David was coming from.
Okay, so has David sort of worked out that there's a way around that?
Well, no, we done that petition of right, and I've got to check up mine, but they sent his back. I've got to check up. I've checked it. It arrived there on the 30th of December. I've got to go and check at the post office to see if they actually haven't returned it.
It's not been returned.
No, yours is in
So
the
how would you be if you were to approach, say, a church?
Well, same thing, because
under the Archbishop of Canterbury, or
now there lays a problem, because he's the Archbishop of the Anglican Church,
Anglican Church,
not the Church of England.
Yeah. Okay.
And see that's a private church. It's
Well,
even
let's throw him away then. We'll throw him away. We don't need to talk about him because he's not valid. So do we have anything with the Church of England left in Australia?
Well, the Queen, Elizabeth II, is basically the head or the superintendent of the Church of England.
Correct.
Now, with David sending all his information and they sent it back, and that's what we said earlier in the piece, she's virtually abdicated her position.
Yeah. Okay.
Haven't all the church has been taken over by the Catholic anyway? Because I know that they use canon law in Anglican Church. If you go into an Anglican
Wow.
site and you drop some of the boxes down,
Yeah.
you'll see canon law.
Yeah.
In there.
Well, basically, yeah. Well, see, even
Been
in
infiltrated by the,
well, see, it's smoke and mirrors. It's all in the words. So see, they got the Anglican Church and the Catholic Church of Australia. It's a registered company under that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
isn't the Catholic Church in Rome?
Now,
They're
all
all-
roads lead to Rome.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, so where do they get this Anglican Church and the Catholic Church of Australia? Because it's Catholic Church in Rome.
Mm.
Have we been mucked around? Yes, we have. Have we got somewhere to go? No. The only thing I hope we got at the moment, if, and that's a big if Trump buddy is giving the people their sovereignty, and that's what I say. We've got to be on our toes.
And to do that, he's got to be backed by the military
He is now.
or a faction of the military.
Yeah, and I get back and I'd say he's handed the control over to the military at the moment, and we just got to wait and see.
Well, there's one thing that I would hope is it seems that I was aware that Trump was always more looking after the veterans than any other president had before. And he was also opening his grounds to the military well before he was president and making his grounds available for free for returned servicemen and
Yep.
that sort of thing. And so I've seen evidence without looking at QAnon or anything anyone said. I've seen evidence independent of all of that where he's had a good association with the military, and it's likely that he has got a good ear with some retired military personnel who are tired of people being butchered and then left to die on the side.
Yeah, well, see, that's the same with you go to when the change of the currency over there and everything like that, and then you'll come back to in the late 60s, and what they say after that in the late 60s, we'll go back to World War One. What was the result of the referendum about conscription?
No idea.
No.
They left it. It was pure voluntary because we had to volunteer because we were partners in the company. We had to volunteer. But what happened after the vote in 1966 when they brought in that thing? They brought conscription in.
Yeah.
We didn't know, and they lowered the age, and all of a sudden it's all the way of LBJ. And where did the Crown, Elizabeth II, declared war on Vietnam? Never did.
Mm.
Well, it's the same as after...
Do I think all the soldiers that went to Vietnam and back over to Kuwait and all those places committed war crimes? No, because they weren't told. Did Bob Menzies and all them that he sent all those fellows over to Vietnam committed crimes? Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
After World War One, we didn't really have to go into World War Two.
No.
Because we'd already signed a peace treaty. We'd already signed a peace treaty under that flag. So we could have said no, but Menzies put us in. And so, again, off to war.
Well, that's another thing. The World War II started well before the Boer War.
Yeah.
There's another thing there you're talking about. There's another interesting little video you should hear is Hitler's business partners.
Oh yeah.
It's very interesting video. Hitler's business partners. But with tonight, with explaining what David's done, you see the parallels in the body. There's two different systems. One's been abandoned. Yeah. That's our system. You got to keep looking at it. Is that old Parliament House? It's vacant. We're not using it.
Okay, so Des, what you've done is you've really sort of grabbed our awareness to something that I think the majority of people probably didn't have a great awareness of. And if they did, it's actually put it into the light. But I'll admit straight up, I haven't heard about it before. So from this point on, do you see a way of sort of getting together, trying to resurrect this? Is there a course that you've sort of...
What are we doing here tonight?
Together? Well,
what do we do?
that's what we're looking to do, is to get something started, get something going. And there's always somebody that's got to be able to sort of direct because of the fact that they have superior knowledge to the others. And then you can say, right, look, let's look at that.
I don't say I got superior knowledge, but it's taken me a long time.
You don't have to. You just demonstrate it.
Yeah.
So it's not an opinion; it's a fact.
Yeah. Well, see, the biggest problem I find there is are the people ready to hear it?
Can they
I
afford,
don't think that,
not to be?
No.
Well, that's right. That's
No.
our biggest problem, because as soon as you start explaining this to people, you watch your eyes glaze over. And
Oh, I can do that with heaps of things. That's not a problem. So what we've got, though,
I do get you. I do. It's going to be a difficult. It's getting there, but
yeah.
people are not.
Okay, look, I'll tell you what, for the moment, let's forget about anybody that's not in this room, even though it's a virtual room, but we're here and we're looking to do something.
It's a start. We're starting.
It's a start. So what I'm asking you,
Educate
is there a course of action that you've got in your mind that you'd like to see people undertaking to bring this about?
Yeah, so it's back to what we we're just saying, educating the people. We're trying to do that through our group up here and trying to get it out to as many people as possible. But yeah.
Does your group meet physically, or do you meet?
Yes, we physically and with Zoom.
Every fortnight. Every
And with
fortnight.
Zoom. Okay, so when are your Zoom meetings?
So we have a Zoom meeting. It's not this week, this Sunday coming. We held them in the Rockhampton Sports Club in the conference room. And last weekend we had Zev here with us. We had Daniel, Luke, Stephen.
And Shane.
Shane and Kerry.
Yeah, there he
Shane
is.
So we had about 25 or 30 in the actual meeting. So what we do, we conduct a live meeting along with a Zoom meeting. So we had 25 in the Zoom, and we had about 30 people there. So it was about that, Shane, I think, wasn't it? Something.
So would you be prepared to have people that have been here this evening participate in the Zoom meeting?
Yes, my word.
Well, yeah. So we'll do that. So what I'll do is.
Can I say something? Stephen, please go to their Zoom meeting. You will be totally impressed. Go there and be a part of their Zoom meeting.
I'm already impressed, mate.
No, go there. Go there. You need to go there. And first go to Des's place and get an update on what's going to happen. You'll be impressed.
Go to Des's place. Yeah, look, I'll just jump in the. What is it, about a 19-hour drive?
Yeah,
it's about that.
There's aeroplanes there, Stephen. They got aeroplanes.
A good old truckie, that's no problem at all.
What we'd like to do is, the primary, and especially if we get Tony and Skip, my brother, and Skip up, and we'd really like to have a big meeting between like yourself and anyone in this group that's involved. We'd really like to get a really big meeting happening up here. Spend like over 2 days or a 3-day long weekend, and just share our information.
But with that documentation we're using tonight, that David Walters' petition, send it everywhere. Send it, but it's written in the form of a policeman's file, and it gets a bit daunting. But when you read it and read it again, and it helps when somebody explains a few little pointers, and then it makes it start to join the dots, and it gets a little bit brighter.
Well, Des, you actually did a really good job of creating a distinction, a difference between what is and what actually was that I'd suggest a majority of people didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So the first thing, it's like what the, and then you've got to sort of get with it. But it's no surprise.
Well, the biggest drama I do have is take people right from green, right to even to a point of just taking a few steps.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's something that I've done, and I've had arguments with not anyone here, but with, say, IT guys or whatever, is that they get tired of the people who didn't even know what a person was, or that they weren't a person. And I say, I don't care, I'll talk to them. And they say, yeah, but it's all tedious, you just go back, you go back. I said, but people, when were you at the beginning? What if nobody would help you because they already knew more and they think you should know more? So it's like, as far as I'm concerned, if you having the base conversation with people, the foundation conversation, it becomes so much a part of you that it's much, much easier. And the more people you talk to, the more you can see when somebody's not quite getting it, and you can change the way you present it. So it's like describing something from 360 degrees around. You can come at it from all different angles so people can get with it. And there's a number of people who can do that. But that's one of the things. You've got to be prepared to talk to those green people. Like, I'll talk to them all the time. Not a problem. Not a problem.
See, at the moment there, I had this evening there, you're talking the maritime and personas and all that. I do agree with you with that. But I also agree with what David's come from. His angle, what he comes from. Forget about all that.
Yeah.
But get your body standing right.
Yeah, well, I think, but first off, people don't realise they don't have standing.
Yeah.
They don't realise that they're in a system that's not real.
That's right.
So at some point, you've got to be able to sort of break that illusion. So it's like, say they're surrounded in glass, and you've got to smash the glass.
Yeah.
And then you can take them to the other place. But most of the time, people say, like, what are you talking about? You just go to court yourself.
Oh, yeah. What was it, Mark Twain? It's far easier to tell the lie than than convince the people they've been lied to.
Yes.
Can I break in? Can I ask Des if they can have, I think it's Tony and Skipper put this on their side. Could they put is it okay to put the link on Stephen's chat here so everybody can get a copy of this? Is it okay?
David's petition, it can go everywhere because it's a public document. But he's been over because it's been served on the Bay Queen, so it's got nothing to do with the court system, per se, because they threaten if he goes to any of their courts, they'll lock him up for 2 years, or he can't act for anybody. He can't act for what or thing. But this information here is public. I can go through, because I was there in the courtroom up in Cairns, because I saw, so therefore I know, and that bloody judgment of Henry's, I'm sending that out, not David.
So if Tony and Skip are allowed to, can they put the link on here?
I've actually
Yes.
I've actually done it, and Des, can I put your Word document on there so that people can use that as a template?
Yeah, do that. Yep.
No worries.
Okay, now the other question we have too is, because this is all recorded, are you happy for me to post this on my YouTube channel?
Yeah, we've got to start somewhere.
Good on you. And I tell people all the time, don't worry about being surveilled.
They're more worried about you.
Yeah, but don't worry about it. You are. You already are. Get over it.
Yep.
You're looking at the new leader of Australia.
Who?
You.
No. I like the rest. I can help you or advise you, but I'm no politician. I don't intend to be. But as I said, if things go on the way they are, and if Trump's doing what the thing, as I said, we've got to be very sharp. We've got to be very on toes so these people don't get in there. One, do you want a lawyer to represent you in Parliament like we have now? Do you want it?
No.
No way.
No way.
Do you want political parties?
No.
No. Never do that. See, you have a look under the Constitution on what we do, what we should do. And I had a buddy, 107, buddy put the good analogy today, and I reckon it's perfect, because we actually got a constitutional monarchy. We are not a democracy. And he said, even in the United States, they're not a democracy. And the simple analogy he used is he's got two men and a woman walking into an elevator. And one man pipes up, hey, I'm going to put it towards a vote that we should be allowed to rape all women. Then the woman pipes up, no, I vote against that. Then the second bloke puts up, yeah, I'll vote with our mate there. That's democracy. Does it work? No. But what we got is a constitutional monarchy, and way the governments and that's supposed to work. And it said that there's no such thing as political parties. What we do, we got an area, say down to Yeppoon here. We got one upstanding person who's willing to put or several, but we vote. We do say we appoint them. We don't vote for them. We appoint them. But we appoint the right person. Who do they represent? The people of this local area. Not to anybody to do what you do down in Victoria. No, got nothing to do with us. Because what he should be doing, we need a new bridge over that creek. We go to the voting thing. We go to consolidate. You got the money there for it? No, not at the moment, but give it about 12 months. Yeah, we can build that. That's good.
Well, see, that's when people had co-ops, when they had
Yes.
cooperations. And that was that people get together to perform a task, and then when the task is complete, you can dissolve the cooperation.
That's it. And that's all there should be. And what part do people not get when you allegedly get somebody to they turn around and said, oh, I voted along party lines. What part are you're not getting and they're not representing you? They're representing the party, not the person.
Now, I think we should look at wrapping the meeting up because we don't want to wear you out.
Well, I'll just run one quick thing past you.
Yes.
And that thing. And I'd say, without any problems, none of you are members of a political party at all. So I'll take that as a no.
No, we're not.
Rightio.
No, we're not.
If I turn around to say to you now, you haven't voted for anybody for your entire life.
That's right, I never have.
You never vote. No.
No,
You
no,
can't
I have
vote.
never.
No, you can't vote.
But I
Because
haven't.
you're not members of political parties. If you're not, it's simple as a cricket club. If you're a member of the Bodie basketball club, can you vote in that cricket club to appoint your Bodie representative? No.
Well, it'd actually be a better analogy would be if the cricket club is meeting and you're a member of and you're part of the crowd, can you vote in the cricket club? No, you're just in the crowd.
Yeah, you're just in the crowd. You're not a member of that political party, so can you vote? No.
No.
You know what you actually do? You're just appointed the Bodie, what's it, $2.90?
Yeah, just gave them a few dollars.
That's all you've done. But
Don't think your vote counts.
you think you voted
No,
for
it
it?
doesn't count. That's why I
And
never
now-
vote.
Then have a look at the Bodie debacle that Trump just put with that Bodie voting system in there.
Yeah.
No?
Look what happened in Queensland.
Well, exactly the same thing because they got the same vote count system.
Yeah, well, look, with that sort of talk, Des, you're just going to get fact checked and we'll find out you're wrong.
Yeah, that's right. But you can't, even though you do the physical voting, you can't vote.
Yeah.
Because if you're not a member of a political party, you can't vote.
I don't do any.
Even if you registered to vote, you can't vote.
I don't
Can I
register
ask-
to vote.
It's hard. For me, it took me a little while to say, oh, it took me aback. And I said, oh, you go, oh, yeah, I go in there. I said, no, you can't vote. If you're not a member of a political party, you can't vote for them.
Yeah.
Okay, now, just before we finish up,
Rigged.
if anybody's got a question, and I think Maureen's got a question, so if we can
Yeah,
bring that through, and if anybody else has, get your hand up real quick, because
Just wondering, they're getting a lot of signatures, political people are. What's that all about? Petitions. The word petitions, what's that about? Are they
Waste of time.
getting signatures? Are they getting people signed up?
Complete waste of time.
Complete waste of time for Bodie petitions like that.
it's a distraction.
Distraction, yeah.
Now, this is going back to David Wynne Miller for what it's worth. But he said that a petition only exists at the top page. Anything that's underneath doesn't count. There's no joinder, there's no continuation, and so it's not going to work.
Well, I'll go back to the Bodie being partners in the Commonwealth of Australia. and
Yeah.
we're all equal partners. Stephen, can you do anything for me?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Why can't I?
You got to do it individually.
I've got to do it myself. And that's the
Well,
problem. I can get you to
It depends what you're talking about.
Yeah, but do you get what I mean? It's
Yeah. Well, this is what I tell people all the time. I said, you come in here, we discuss things, and then someone says, well, it would be good if somebody put a template together.
no,
We could use.
and you know
I
what?
go, awesome idea. You do it.
They got no. Tell them to go walk into the bathroom, have a look in the mirror, and
Yep.
voila, that person. That's why petitions don't work, because
Yep.
you're trying. You've got a petition is not 100 or so thing. You've got to actually write that letter out yourself and
Yep.
send it to those criminal buggers. And it's the same with David Walters' petition. And Skip's got that, going to put that Word document out. But fill it out, get an idea, fill it out, send it over to there, and tell the Crown to do a job. But
Well, I've been telling people that instead of having 1,000 signatures on a piece of paper, you're better to have 1,000 pieces of paper with a single signature.
well, if you take that single piece of paper with 100 bloody signatures on it, pretty easy to scrumple that and throw that in the bin, eh? Just it lays in the bottom of the bin. But if you've got a couple of thousand people bloody sending the envelopes in these, and they're inundated with the thousands of envelopes, curiosity kills a cat, because he's got to open every one up and see what they are.
Yeah.
So you've got to send flood their bloody mailbox, and that's the same with this petition of right. Everybody should send it there. It seems to be might be a bit of a waste of time, but it's not. You just and send it to your local members wherever you are, and then ask them the question: who do you represent? And what currency you paid in?
Now, the other thing is, what happens if the Queen falls off the perch?
That is the biggest danger. That is a really big danger, and that's what these buggers. We're fortunate enough that she's lasted as long as she has, because if we don't bloody think, because at the moment, as I said, the Crown guarantees the pound and the bloody thing. With the fictional currency, they used our birth certificates, and they're rating our share of the Commonwealth. So when they asked for a republic, see, as I said, the Liberal Party created the Australian dollar, and they got it out there, and they started borrowing that money, using us through our birth certificate as guarantee for that money. When they accumulated, who makes the debt? If we got no contract with them, we got no agreement with them, who holds the debt? The political parties. They're holding the debt. We should turn it and say, yeah, that's yours. You keep it. But as soon as you go to the Republic and take on their contract, they say, here it is. It's all yours. Now you hold the debt. At the moment, we as shareholders of the Commonwealth don't have that debt. Even though they like to pass it off to us, that debt is held by the political parties at this stage.
Okay. Thank you. Now we've got one last question from Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah, g'day guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Right, thanks for all the information tonight. Really interesting, and solid, just solid. I've been following a few different groups and having conversations with a few different factions of thinking, and the QAnon stuff you're saying earlier with Trump and stuff, and I fully get all that. There's also another strain of thinking of how both sides are actually governed by the 13 families and the 13 families handlers.
Yes.
So, it's sort of like, I'm pulled between the two. And also not just the two, but other ways of thinking as well. But I'm just thinking, what are your thoughts about the 13 families and their handlers?
Well, once again, it's all hearsay, but this is why about the thing that they said that those 13 families supposed to have been already arrested, along with that Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and all the other deplorables that they got. So we can only take, I don't know, you can't confirm or we can't deny it.
Well, Melissa's just said 300 families. Wow. Haven't heard of that.
But we could only hope that information is correct. And and Trump is pulling all that apart at the moment.
Now, outside of all of that, if all that's garbage, all that's rubbish and doesn't count, does that mean everybody just stops and gives up?
No, we got about
right. So regardless of any of that, we move forward with this. Yeah. And if we've got to leapfrog into it, if we've got a boost from the thing that's connected to Trump, awesome. If we don't, it just means we've got a harder job. But it doesn't change the source of knowledge that you've brought through. And it's also consistent with the concept that we've been working with as Crown. It's not in conflict with that at all. It actually confirms it. It makes it solid. And
that Partnership Act confirms it.
Yes, and what it does is it acknowledges us as spirit.
Yes.
It acknowledges that we have a soul. And that's what this is about. And that's what this system, that this corporation has. It doesn't have a soul.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what they've done with their constitution too, because they Gough Whitlam removed the first 9 paragraphs of the constitution. That's where we, the people, have come in agreement with the Crown, the formation of administrators of the company.
Yep.
And there's no prime ministers there. There's only administrators. But
they've foreign administration.
Well, they've signed up. They've
signed with foreigners. Yeah.
But they can't sign on behalf of us.
No.
They can only sign on behalf of their business. It's got nothing to do with us, unless we agree to it.
Correct.
Unless we contract with them.
Well, we're the supreme power. And then the other thing you've got to get back down to is that where there hasn't been a meeting of the minds and where there's been deception or fraud from the beginning, there's no contract. That doesn't stand. Where's the reading of the terms and conditions and all of that sort of thing. So you can get it down to real basic principles. Nobody has the right to take control of your life force.
Yeah.
And you don't have the right to take control of anybody else's. That's my opinion. But I think most people would be able to align themselves with that. So with that, I'm going to call the evening to an end. And I would like to thank you so much, Des and Des, for coming along and sharing your experience of that knowledge with us. And hopefully we can get you here again. And we might be able to get Dave as well, which would be just awesome. And what I'm looking at now is from the different people that we've met and that we've had come in, we're getting a real collective of knowledgeable people, the people that have really achieved a lot. But it's all the truth is coming to, and truth's an opinion, but all the facts are sort of coming together. And it looks like that what we've been working on, where we've been going, is the right direction. And this gives me a greater resolve to stick with Crown and how we present ourselves. But now what you've done is you've given me another tool. You've given me seals to walk in with. And you've given me, it's never occurred to me about who pays you with what.
Yeah.
That's never occurred to me. So you've brought me some armor that I can use as a weapon.
You can challenge it. You can challenge the court at any time during proceedings, and those seals are handy because you can actually request the administrator's seals that he's working under.
Well, actually, one of the prior court cases, I went up there with David, and you have a look on the front. I noticed on the older, or Melissa can back this one up there, because the courthouse in Gympie has got the old seal crest on the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And I seen David in action there, where he's asking the judge. So I see one seal out in the front door, and I see a different one up there. And he asked him, "So which seal are you sitting under here today?" And that bloody judge was very uneasy.
Mm.
He knew what David. I didn't know at the
Because they
time.
know
I
they're a
did-
different jurisdiction. Yeah.
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 I didn't know then, but I do know now, and I do remember him saying it. There's a seal outside, and you had one here. Pick one? Which one do you see it? No, and he didn't know what to do, eh?
Anyway.
Yeah. Stephen Spears did a similar thing, went into court and same thing and called out the judge under the jurisdiction. And that's all he challenged him on, which jurisdiction are you sitting under?
Yeah.
And he couldn't do
The
it.
jurisdiction of the court, yeah.
Yes,
But
yeah.
but that's you leave that to when everything's starting to go pear-shaped, but you virtually attack your opponent and then write what currency he's been, because you got to leave that door ajar so that bloody magistrate can bloody say, no, ping off, we can't do anything. I can't do it with this. I haven't got the authority to, and closes the whole situation down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, well, hopefully we'll have some first-hand people to
Actually,
carry that through.
I know. I see that that Agent Swift's in here tonight too. G'day, Rick. I think initially, if you're going to establish yourself as the principal beneficiary and executive of the named trust, then you got to establish who's the trustee, so you can actually ask that question.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to finish here. So I just ask, if you're trying to get Dave, just stop talking. How do you do it?
Yeah, good on you. Good luck on that.
So I was just thinking, whatever you try on him, we're going to utilise that now, and I'm going to say good night.
Nothing works. Nothing.
I can show you what works.
Yeah.
It's no, it's not. It's not too hard. See, look at that. You're muted. There you go. So I think you can unmute yourself.
When he gets wound up,
Hey, Rick.
He's hard to stop. But he's throwing that much information at you, but
Well, we're fortunate that we can record things and then we can revisit. And so with the audio, like one of the things I do is I download things and I play them in my vehicle for when I'm driving, just over and over and over, and that avoids me swearing at the radio. Well, actually, I don't use the radio at all.
Save you bashing the shitter out of your buddy gauges and buddy steering wheel, eh?
Or hitting 140 kilometres an hour because you get. Anyway, so I'll say good night and I will close the meeting. But thank you very much for everything that you've shared with us and for everybody coming along. And this is just really cementing the direction that we were heading in. This is a confirmation that we would have been well to have in the beginning, or perhaps your knowledge has come along to us at the right place in time where we can receive it, because it's already ringing a bell that we were ringing.
Well, hopefully it give you your mind at some point is when you do start reading David's documents, you'll start to get what he's saying.
Yeah, but it is consistent with the concept of Crown. And when we had Nelson here and we were going through things, and somebody's mentioned Crown Kathy in there, all that sort of stuff, it all supports it, all goes back into it. So
thanks to Skip for putting up all that stuff for us earlier, David Walters stuff. We only had it out in hard copy here. I didn't have it up on the screen. So thanks for doing that, Skip.
You're welcome. So just on to Dave Walters, he does take a lot when he does take a long time to get through what he's going through, but you're enthralled the whole way. It's not a case of, oh, I wish you wouldn't talk about that. You are sort of it's the wrong word, but you're encapsulated in what he's saying the whole time. It is just all fact all the way through, and you link it so well.
Yeah.
There's volumes and volumes and volumes of bloody documentation, and he'll sit there and take it straight off the top of his head.
We've got one document that's 420 odd pages long, that is a forensic document, and it's intense. But anyway, the basic petition is about 119 pages, which is a good sort of a good size to swallow for an introduction into David's work.
Okay. And it's all up there on the links, guys. If you need it directly, I'll put our email address up there and I'll forward that to you.
He did get some feedback from a British QC, and the feedback he got when they read that document, they've never ever seen such a forensic document and written that way. They've never ever seen that. It was so forensic. there's virtually nothing bloody opposition can bloody argue about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
everybody.
much. We'll say
Thanks,
good night, and I'll close.
Good
the
night,
meeting.
guys.
Yeah,
Okay,
good.
catch you later.
Thank you.
See ya.